And we're back, and we are talking about, basically, this is the ElseViews. This is part of the show where we talk about anything that is on our minds, whether it be movies, TV shows, video games, music, whatever it is. So I'm gonna do one, and then Corey's gonna do his, and I'm gonna do my other one because I'm technically cheating by doing two, but they're related. And
Gregor, at this point in time, we all know you're gonna do two.
I don't do two that often.
Okay.
But no, so the first one is because this is, I'm a big wrestling fan, as y'all know, but we had a big pay-per-view event with the co-branded WWE Survivor Series that happened last night, but I'm going to save that for after Corey, because I want to talk NXT Wargames. This is their takeover thing. Basically, NXT is think of it like the minor leagues for the WWE. And they do pay-per-views every time there is a co-branded pay-per-view. So Survivor Series, SummerSlam, Royal Rumble, and WrestleMania are when they do their takeover events. This one was branded War Games. And so with this, you had the brilliance of the fact that they brought back a match, the War Games match, that hasn't been in existence in 20 years, I believe is what they said it was. So what the War Games match is they have two rings in the arena, and they start the match. No, Matthew Broderick was not the judge. They had three-man teams involved with this match. One member from each team starts in the ring, and then after 5 minutes, the other two members of one team get to come in. Then 3 minutes, another team comes in, and then another 3 minutes, the final team comes in. And the interesting part of this is the match doesn't end until all three teams are in the ring. So you have this interesting concept of you have 11 minutes until a pinfall can happen in here. And then once this happens, there's a cage around both rings as well. And so once this is done, but if they escape the cage, their team is eliminated. But so it's a really interesting idea, and it was a really interesting premise. I was curious to see how they were going to do everything, and it did not end in a game of tic-tac-toe. It ended in a game of one dude doing a superplex off the top of a cage onto everyone, which I saw, and I'm like, and he's dead. Because it was one of those big spots where I'm just like, oh wow, he's up there pretty high, and okay, someone didn't catch him, sort of thing. Like someone
didn't make him watch the video of Owen Hart, apparently.
Well, no, Owen Hart. Okay, so the Owen Hart one was he hit his chin on the rope. That's what did it, and all that.
And by the way, I'm not trying to make. I am trying to make a little light of it, but it's a horrible thing that have happened.
That honestly, yeah, because that. Especially for these, like what they were trying to do with the stunt of that, like it would have been cool had they used the proper equipment, and I'm pretty sure someone got fired. At least one person during that. But anyways, back to War Games, because they had a whole bunch of other matches in there too. They crowned a new women's champion because the former women's champion was injured and ended her what was it? It was almost 2 years in NXT undefeated, which you haven't really seen since Goldberg back in the 90s, where he came into WCW and went about 3 years, I think, undefeated. And no, British Bulldog didn't die the same way Owen Hart did. Growly, British Bulldog, I believe it was a drug overdose or something, but I could be completely wrong. But and then you had the NXT Championship match. Basically, I've said this before with other takeovers. This one almost outshined WWE Survivor Series. It had great matches through and through, and I enjoyed every single one of them. My only gripe is that NXT doesn't get to do more pay-per-views, doesn't get to do more of these takeover events, because it gets a lot more people involved that way. B actually posted that Davey Boy Smith, the British Bulldog, died of a heart attack while on vacation in British Columbia.
With it appearing to be caused from years of using steroids.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we're starting to see nowadays with a lot of the wrestlers from the 80s and 90s is steroids are playing a big factor if they used a lot of steroids in there. Like that was, with Eddie Guerrero, with him passing, it was because he didn't use a lot of steroids, but he did use some to where that did affect his heart and all that. But anyways, NXT TakeOver War Games was awesome. I hope this becomes a yearly thing because they already do NXT doesn't have the gimmick match that the WWE main event has. And this is honestly an interesting one to do. You're bringing in a classic WCW match, but also you're giving this new blood because you're bringing in these young guys who are finding new ways to do different spots and to actually make it interesting, that the fact that they have two rings side by side for really no reason other than the fact that it's two rings side by side and you don't see that. But yeah, that was WWE or NXT War Games. You can find that on the WWE Network. Corey, punish us with the review of the first 3 episodes of The Punisher.
I'm not going to go so far into it because it is only the first 3 episodes. I'm going to start by saying that The Punisher is probably, to me, one of the least interesting characters in comics. From my point of view, I'm not a fan of I think guns is a shitty superpower, but and I'm also I think I've made it clear several times before, I'm not into mob movie stuff. Like I've never seen or could sit through The Godfather. Most Martin Scorsese stuff doesn't do shit for me. But yeah, Tommy Monahan from Hitman for the win. Beat says, good point. But under certain creators, I've found The Punisher to be, if not just tolerable, actually in some cases interesting and fun. Garth Ennis writing Punisher, I think in particular Punisher Max at Marvel was a hell of a lot of fun. The Thomas Jane Punisher movie, I like the Punisher in that. I like some of the character stuff in that, although I hear a lot of people that's the part that they didn't like. John Travolta is just an over-the-top villain, as John Travolta is in pretty much anything he plays a villain. So you got what you paid for.
Yeah.
After the second season of Daredevil on Netflix, that the Punisher was a big part of, especially the first half of it, I felt okay. Yeah, I could see more from this portrayal. The guy playing him is the guy who played Shane on The Walking Dead, and he's done a very respectable job. Yeah, John Barenthal. He's done a very respectable job. But I didn't know what this is going to be. If it was going to be the same kind of stuff as the movies, which is the overtop mafia stuff. If it was going to be witnessing his family getting slaughtered at the beginning in an origin story. If it was going to take place before Daredevil or after Daredevil. It starts out, one, I have to say, the opening scene of the first episode, which is all the way up until they get into the opening credits for the show, was very, very good. It was him finishing off the killing of the people who he felt were responsible for the death of his family, the whole cartel aspect of it. So all the mob stuff is kind of done then, at least so far. Like I said, I'm only 3 episodes in. It deals more with... It looks like it's going the direction of dealing with the people that he was a part of in his time in the military, which we got a little bit of with Clancy Brown's character again in that season of Daredevil. It is doing flashbacks to that. And we do see his wife when she gets shot. They love to show that scene because he keeps waking up to that dream over and over again every day. So it's almost as relentless as seeing Thomas and Martha Wayne get killed in any number of Batman movies. But the whole thing seems to really be about PTSD and the trauma of being at war and of losing people to violence. And there's a lot of time spent in what is a support group for different people in the military. And we haven't gone too far with that yet, but I can see there's a progression that's going to happen with some of the characters from that, and how their storyline is going to expand going along. Barenthal is very good in this. It would be easy to do just the speak in whispers, be the ultimate tough guy, and he does that because that is the Punisher character. But they don't overuse it. And when we first start seeing him trying to live in regular society again, and we know that he really can't, he's working construction, which is a little cliche, and he's got a fake identity, but he doesn't talk to anybody. You know, he's trying to work through his aggression by using a hammer on walls to tear apart things in this building as they're supposed to be doing it, and he's not making any friends, and it kind of leads to some conflicts with other people in that. But when you see the breakdown of him like having to deal with them, it wasn't because he was instigating it. It wasn't that he was the one who was being a prick. He was doing everything right, but like, just let the bullshit wash over you and just continue on, because you know that if you open up on these guys, you're not going to close again. You're not going to let it go, for lack of a better song choice. Maybe he's defying gravity. I could go either way on the Punisher for the most part. It could be good, it could be bad. So far, 3 episodes in, it's a very compelling and good show. Great characterization from everybody who I've seen as a part of it. There's no weak points. There's no frustrations like I had with Danny Rand and Iron Fist, and most of the really horrible over the top acting in Iron Fist, and I am the Iron Fist over and over and over again. He's not like walking around with the shirt on saying I'm the Punisher. Did a really good job of introducing Micro, who we if you read the comics know from his stories and everything, and it's kind of like the I don't need a partner, but this is as close as I get to having one guy. And the development of Micro as a character, I think, is very good. I like the guy playing him a lot. I like his motivations and how he gets the better of Frank when Frank has him kind of like under wraps. He turns tables on him and proves his worth. And that's pretty much where I've left off so far in the series. I didn't jump on this on Friday as soon as it started streaming or late Thursday night. I came into it yesterday because I couldn't finish watching something else that I was in the middle of. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'll throw on Punisher and see what it's like. I'm very glad that I did. I think it's at a quality that is more of a Daredevil, Jessica Jones so far. The first half of Luke Cage, which I thought was quite good, and fell apart in the second half. This seems to, and second season of Daredevil, I think, was stronger in the first half, which deals with Punisher, than it was in the second half when it dealt with Elektra. I think it's good. I think it's actually very good. Again, 3 episodes, but I'd recommend it. If you're a person who's watched the Marvel shows, you're already watching this. You've probably seen further ahead than I have, but
you will be once you finish Stranger Things.
Yeah, I haven't even started season 2 of Stranger Things yet, because I know I joked about I can watch it while my wife is away on her vacation. I didn't. I'm saving it to be able to watch with her. So it's when we get the time to sit and watch together, unless she's gone and watched it without me, because, why wouldn't she?
But yeah, so honestly, I didn't even know the Punisher was out until like that Friday. I was going, because I had this where it's like, I was watching 2 episodes of Stranger Things a night, or actually it was like 3, 2, something like that. So I'm about halfway through Stranger Things, which is not what I'm going to be talking about. And I'm like, Punisher, I thought it didn't come out for like a couple weeks. Oh, I guess it's out now.
We're already more than halfway through November, but they haven't been advertising it as much because of all the different stuff that's been going on in the news. And while there's certainly a good amount of violence, I haven't seen any scenes so far in it that remind me of those stories, other than the fact that it is a person who, again, leads with guns.
Yes. But no, so that is a Punisher. You can find that on Netflix right now. My other ElseView, because apparently I do too all the time, is the WWE pay-per-view from yesterday, WWE Survivor Series. Now they I guess they reformatted it last year to be a sort of a combination of an old pay-per-view that they had called Bragging Rights, which was back when they did the draft the first time with, Raw and SmackDown, where it was, which brand is superior and all that. And so they did it this way with all the matches were champion versus champion. So it was, the world heavyweight champion from over on SmackDown versus the Universal champion, the tag team champions facing each other, the women's champions facing each other, and then the U.S. champion facing the Intercontinental champion. And then they had the women's 5-on-5 traditional Survivor Series match, the men's traditional 5-on-5 Survivor Series match, and a 3-on-3 tag team matchup a three-man group on Raw called the Shield versus a three-man group on SmackDown called the New Day. Sorry, I had to. I'm a fan of like a lot of the people on here, so I had to do it the way they do it. But it's overall, this is WWE since I've been watching their pay-per-views since WrestleMania. WWE, including WrestleMania, has had a pattern. I like to call it the SNL pattern, where you get to Weekend Update, and then the sketches start to slack off a little bit. WWE, you get they usually do like 2, maybe 3 big quote unquote main events. You get to the first one, they'll throw in this match that everyone's like, oh, this match sucks. It's as they calm down before, oh my gosh, did you see Shane McMahon jump off the Hell in a Cell? Or something like that. Survivor Series didn't have that. They had, they started out with the Shield versus the New Day. And that match, I'm like, wow, we're going out the gate swinging here. I mean, this is almost sort of like the New Day saying, hey, we need to be later on in the, up higher on the card, make us a main event sort of deal. It was interesting how they did this because they had all 5 announcers for both Raw and SmackDown announcing at the same time, which it got a little bit tricky at times because there were times where they were talking over each other. But the way they did it was like, oh, it's heated debate between Booker T and Byron Saxton from, because they were brand superior loyalists and all that stuff. All in all, I enjoyed this pay-per-view. Some of the weaker points in there are more because I have more personal opinions on some of the wrestlers. Baron Corbin, who I feel like doesn't need to be champion and doesn't have it as great of a gimmick. Same thing with Braun Strowman. Who it's like, oh, you're big and muscular, you're gonna no-sell. One of the things I will hit on is the WWE champion versus the Universal champion, Brock Lesnar versus AJ Styles. Now, Brock Lesnar, since he's come back, I've only liked maybe 2 of his matches. And a lot of it's because he comes across with these matches as I don't have to sell for this person when they're hitting me relentlessly over and over again and they are my size. I'm just gonna, body slam them, give them like suplexes and all that stuff and then pin and get out, earn my money and then get the hell out of Dodge. This match with AJ Styles, who is significantly smaller, like I think Brock has about 100 pounds on him at least. It's one of those things that I feel he actually sold. This reminded me of his matches with Eddie Guerrero, which were some of my favorite matches on both guys, on both Brock and Eddie, because it was, the bigger guy fighting a smaller guy, and the smaller guy, sometimes coming out on top, sometimes getting squashed. And you have this really big dynamic where it's not just, 2 big muscular guys or 2 guys the same size beating the shit out of each other. It's David and Goliath. It's, a speedy guy versus strength and all that stuff. So yeah, I mean, the whole pay-per-view was good. I'm sort of copping out and not doing the beta show that I've been doing on the ElseNerds channel to talk about it here. But it's also because I want to talk to certain people and see, hey, you want to do this with me? But anyways, the WWE Survivor Series, you can find that on the WWE Network. And then they announced their next pay-per-view in December is Clash of Champions, which will be a SmackDown exclusive show. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that, where we will see all the championships defended on the SmackDown brand. So that's it for the ElseViews. We will be right back with the ElseWords.
Do you believe that there's intelligent life somewhere out there? That maybe extraterrestrial beings have already visited the Earth? Are you a fan of movies or TV shows like Star Trek or Alien? If you answered yes to any of those questions, then you may also like the Alien Invasion podcast. On every episode, we talk about the latest ET-related news, report on a recent sighting, and make some alien-themed entertainment picks. Subscribe, download, and listen from where you get podcasts. Or by going to gncasts.com/aliens. That's GNCASTS.com/aliens.
For more on this Galactic Network podcast, go to gncast.com. That's GNCASTS.com.